Hey guys, we're so honored today to have a very special guest that wears many hats. He is a former professional baseball player, actor, realtor, writer, motivational speaker, fitness buff, cook, and most importantly, he's a man of God. Hey, welcome to the show, Mr. Shane Hale.
Wow.
Danny, thank you, Michelle. Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here. The part about being an actor, that's being generous. I got asked to be in a movie. I didn't have any speaking lines, but but yeah, I actually got credited. And it was fun. So thank you for all that. And yeah, I do wear a lot of hats. A lot of us do, and happy to wear them. Happy for another day to put them all on and try and get it all done.
And you know what we like about you, Shane? Every hat that you wear, you share the gospel with them, man. I
Yeah.
don't care what you do. We follow you and been watching you for a long time. But man, when you're a realtor, I know that sometimes you're gonna talk about God when you're out there, when you're writing, when you're cooking. Of course, being a motivational speaker, man. We loved all those things about you, man.
Well,
So
I appreciate that. I really do. I really do. You know, I only post good
awesome.
stuff, right?
Yeah.
You don't only post the good. I don't post the mess ups and the read. I do try to work it all in there, and it's faith over the last. I'm 55 now, and last decade of my life specifically is I've really tried to make faith my foundation for everything, and try to work it into whatever I do, and I'm as absolutely human as anybody, and I have moments where I'm like, my gosh, Shane, you're better than this, and that happens to all of us. I try to,
We all
thank
do, man.
God keeps
Wow.
rehiring me every day.
Right.
So
Yes.
that
That's why you
Yeah.
got to wake up and walk in the spirit every day and not the flesh. It's a battle every single day. You
yeah,
got to get your mind right, fill it with the Holy Spirit, and you got to go, man.
that's it,
Yeah.
So,
right.
Well,
any,
we are so excited that you're here. It's such a blessing and such an honor to have you on our show today. And there's so much that we want to dive into with you. So we're super excited. And we're just going to start talking about all the hats and have
and
some
Okay.
fun.
that's right. It's all right, man. Let's talk about the first hat. All right.
First
So,
set.
Shane, when you got your passion for baseball, tell us about it, how old you were, and all those type of good things. When you first, figured you loved the game of baseball, and then walk us through your times at George County High School, South Alabama, and your professional baseball career.
Okay. Okay. Um, yeah, from both folks in George County are going to know my dad, John Hale. He passed away about a decade ago, but Coach Hale was PE coach at George County for decades, but was also a tremendous athlete. And so I grew up around sports and around my dad. My dad was real young when I was born. He was 20 and mom was 18. They were going to school at Southern Miss. He was playing football at Southern Miss. He had been the Mississippi back of the year out of high school the senior year. So just a tremendous athlete. So I looked up to that. So I was around sports a lot. And I don't ever remember not playing baseball. I can't ever remember not playing ball. But that was really all I did. I wasn't a big guy, I wasn't a big kid, I was real skinny. But I could throw things. I could throw a baseball further than most anybody could. Just had a good arm. And so I kind of like most people do, you kind of gravitate to whatever you're good at, especially as a kid. I wasn't mean enough or big enough for football. I just never tried to be a basketball player. And back all these years ago, that's all you really have, those three sports and track. We ain't got all the stuff we have today, like soccer and lacrosse is showing up and women's softball and there's lots of stuff you can get involved in. So I just always played baseball. That was my I was just good at it. I wasn't a great hitter, but I had a great arm. And so in George County, our baseball program has come a long way since I was there in 82 through 86. And we used to be on the coast and just get wore out by those coast teams, Pascagoula, Biloxi, the big powerhouse schools. And so to leave George County on a baseball scholarship was really unheard of. And just really a credit to the community people I had around me. My parents have really put me out there, had people work with me, and dad showed me how to lift, and I was really late bloomer. And so when I got going to walk up Mississippi State, and nobody had no offers out of high school, I struck out 156 hitters in 92 or 97 innings my junior and senior year, and never got offers from anybody.
Yeah.
We were on nobody's radar. Just George County was on anybody's radar whatsoever. I went to West Side in Mobile and played summer league ball after my senior year. I'm going to walk on Mississippi State, and made the all-star team, and we played at Stanky Field. A couple of umpires in that summer league were actually ball players for South at the time. Went back and told Coach Kittrell, "Hey, this left-handed kid, you ought to take a look at." And so he did, and I guess I had a couple of good innings in front of him, and he offered me a piece of a scholarship. And redshirted my first year. Contributed 17 innings my second year, which basically they threw me out there. They're trying to save a real pitcher for a real ball game. They'd throw me out there and maybe get a couple of innings. And then between my second and third year, I came back and I gained about 30 pounds, and things just started clicking for me. And I found out I had a 90-mile-an-hour fastball inside of me if I got angry enough to pull it out, and everything changed, and off I went. And then I got drafted by the Orioles in 1990 in the 7th round, and spent 7 seasons in the Orioles organization. Didn't make the big leagues, made the AAA roster, and got hurt again. But it was just, baseball was it was what I did. But the thing I didn't realize until I got older was that baseball was my identity. And so once I left that era of my life, I finished up my 7th year and just decided I didn't want to go back. And I never got released. Thankfully, nobody ever told me to go home. I just decided, I'm done with this season, and had other teams want me to come play for them. But I was just mentally, physically, had been battling a lot of injuries, tired of being gone, tired of being broke, tired of being hurt. The friends I had from college and whatnot, they had wives, they had kids, they had houses, and I've still got my red Mustang GT and my cowboy boots, and that was it.
Yeah.
Everything else was gone. But it was a great time. But when I turned that page, I really kind of lost my identity, and that's a whole other conversation we'll probably get into shortly. But baseball was just what I did.
We'll
It was just
come back to
something
that
came
one.
easy to me. Yeah, so it really it laid the foundation for a lot of things. And my thought on sports is it doesn't matter what sport you're playing. Sports is some of the best training for life that you can go through.
Yeah.
Whether you're a guy, whether you're a girl, whatever it is, because you if you want to keep playing, you've got to sacrifice. You've got to train. You've got to deal with loss. You've got to deal with injury. Sometimes you got to learn how to be a teammate. You prioritize your time. And especially in today's environment, as competitive it is, you've got to do the things to give yourself a chance that will pay dividends in your life later on. So there's no downside to being involved in sports.
Yeah, see, we talk about that a lot. We call it God's game plan, and exactly what you just said right there, that you've got to have that foundation in something. You got to stand for something, or you fall for anything.
Yeah. Just like in any sport you play, I used to be a head baseball coach back in the 90s. I've coached them all, but now I'm been coaching football for 30 something years. But we always talk about in a football game, you got to have a game plan. Then at halftime, you got to make halftime adjustments. You got to have what you're going to do in the red zone. This is what our podcast is all about, inside the red zone. But we relate it. It's the same thing in life, man. You got to have a plan in life, just like you do in a sporting event. You got to make adjustments during your life. But most importantly, man, you get ready inside the 20. When you get ready to score a touchdown, man, it's going to be tough. And that's the same thing. We face sometimes in spiritual warfare. The enemy is going to get at us right before we score a touchdown. So, man, let's go to the next question, man. I'm excited.
On that point you just made, once you do get in the red zone, that's when the heat gets turned up on you.
Absolutely.
That's when things get even more difficult. So
that's right. You got to be mentally tough. You got to be a great teammate. You got to be all in, and all those good things. And that's the same thing that you apply in a football game. You got to apply them in life.
Yeah.
So, man, I can't wait to hear this next one. So, Shane, you mentioned about being in the minor leagues for 8 years, and I know you have seen a lot of practical jokes in your time. Man, can you share with us one of your favorites you've been a part of or you witnessed?
I think my favorite memory is not, or favorite funny thing is not so much a practical joke. It's just something we did. When I got drafted in 1990, we're kids, and I got sent to middle A ball, and me and the guys bought. Or I bought, actually, wasn't no guys involved. It was me. Bought you ever seen the water balloon launchers, the big string kind?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this was like a 30-year ago model, and they made them tough back then. That's cords as big around as my thumb. And we would mess around with that thing, and we got to where we had a 6-man team that was deadly with it. And, we play minor league ball, you got a lot of time on your hands. And you get a group of guys together, give them time, they're going to get the mischief. There's just no other way around it. And we would take that water balloon launcher, and we'd have 2 guys holding each side of it, but you also had a guy holding the guy that was holding the handle. And then I was the guy pulling the water balloon back, and had another guy behind me holding my waist. And we'd pull that thing back literally as far as 6 grown men could pull it. And you could take a water balloon, you know, a baseball size or small or bigger water balloon from home plate and throw it over a 90-foot light pole in center field, which is 400 feet away. I mean, you could throw a thing like, you know, 500 something feet. And we had outside our clubhouse in Wausau, Wisconsin. It was built into a like a four-way stop. You can picture, you know, you got 4 roads across. Well, this was the baseball field. It's shaped like a baseball field. And from the clubhouse to the 4-way stop was probably about 350 feet or so. And occasionally we'd roll out in the parking lot, like if we got rain delay or something, and we could literally loft one up, you know, at a good high angle and drop it in that 4-way stop. And you know, there were a few occasions we were able to drop a water balloon out of nowhere on the hood of a car that had just pulled through. Well, they'd jump out and look, and people would look and know what it was. But we used that thing for just, you know, we'd launch them out of hotel rooms at cars going by, 18-wheelers, and we even took it to my church went to there's a retreat up in North Carolina, Ridgecrest, I believe it is. It's basically a Baptist kid. I've been there a few times. I was a chaperone. I was 22, 23 years old. Took my water balloon launcher with me from the minor league days. I'm still playing minor league ball. And they had some little game where the kids would, in this big open like softball field, they had these refrigerator boxes with the bottom cut out. So you could like put it long like a ship. You have like 6 kids in the box, and they're like walking from pace. You had to like hit them with a water balloon. We had our own water balloon launcher, not the one they gave us. Taught kids how to use it. And we're basically putting holes in the box from, you know, 50 yards away. You know, kids are,
man.
Boxes aren't getting hit. Kids are going down. Like the whole ship flips over. So we've had more fun with the water balloon launcher than anything else. But yeah, that was one of the incidents that is really got a lot of kids in trouble. We were in South Bend, Indiana, and had a 3-day rain out. We were on the back end of like a 14-day road trip. Wanted to go home, and so they got a bunch of taxi cabs. Drove to the field that night and pulled the tarp off the field, like in Bull Durham. You ever see the movie Bull Durham with Kevin Costner?
Yeah.
Okay, they went and pulled the tarp off the field, and you know, thought it'd be kind of funny, ha ha ha. Well, when the game got canceled the next day, the South Bend, Indiana management was pretty ticked off because they missed out on ticket sales. They missed out on concession stand, et cetera, et cetera. And they estimated their loss at like $27,000, which was kind of fabricated. But 2 or 3 guys got released from that, and thankfully I was supposed to start that game. So I was in my hotel room sleeping while those guys were out running around, you know, doing mischievous stuff. And I missed out on getting in trouble. Thankfully I was starting the next day, but it was, yeah, that was
Wow.
Man.
that was one of the worst things that happened. That was not, I was thankful I was pitching the next day because that was
That
not a
one
good.
was rough.
Yeah.
That was rough.
Man, it's funny.
Yeah.
We talk about it all the time. I can't remember what I did yesterday, but I can remember stories like that happened 30 and 35 years ago, or
Yeah.
particular game. That's just great memories, man. You keep in a
I
lifetime.
know. Sometimes
So-
I'll ask him, like, you can't remember what I told you not long ago, but you can remember every game, every jersey, every player, every.
Plus, I'm helping coach my son's high school baseball team this year, and that's what I told the kids literally 2 games ago. Like, look, y'all are, you know, you might remember the score, you might not, but you're gonna remember the funny stuff that happened. You're gonna remember the
Yes.
bloopers you do. That's the stuff you'll when you get together
Yes.
30 years from now, you'll still talk about.
It's
Yeah.
those moments making memories that they'll carry. Because look how long that's been for you, and you can still
Yeah.
keep that up.
I
Danny
can still see
can
those guys holding that water balloon launcher.
I love that.
Yeah.
Now I love that. All right, so let's talk a little bit about after you retired. I know that, you know, there's so much we want to get into, but after you retired from baseball, was it like around 1996?
I finished up in August of 1996. I finished up my 7th season with Orioles, and season was over, went home, and I decided somewhere not long after that, a couple of months later, I just didn't want to. My contract with the Orioles was up. I was no longer under obligation to them or any team. Didn't have a team really, but I had several teams reach out to me and go, hey, you know, we're, you know, for lack of a better term, I was a free agent because I wasn't obligated to the Orioles. When I signed with them in 1990, I had a 7-year contract that they could renew. They could terminate anytime they want to. They could send me home. But I was theirs for 7 years unless they decided they didn't want me, they wanted to trade me or whatever. And I, stuck around for 7 seasons. So if you're left-handed and you throw hard and you work hard, they'll keep you around.
Yeah.
And
That's
I fit the.
that's another thing. Like, you're left-handed. That's awesome. And I'm sure you've got so many stories of people that you got to meet and things that you saw,
Oh yeah.
places that you went, and so much learning. And I love what you said earlier, in the first part of the segment, that about your identity. Your identity, you felt like, was totally tied up into that. And I know that
Completely.
speaks to our listeners and resonates with our network, because so many people find themselves in a place and a position like that, and it means a lot to them, and then all of a sudden that identity is stopped or changed or taken away, or by whatever chance, and we find ourselves in a new season.
Or in a doldrum where you don't know
Baseball.
who you are, or in a spot you don't know who or what you are. That's the
Yes.
thing nobody told me when I was younger. I didn't realize it was when I stepped away from baseball. I was fortunate to go into, once I made the decision to leave, I was fortunate to have a job opening come up that I took with my college roommate, and I worked this company for almost a decade. Where I met my wife at, and it was a good position. It was the software industry. I didn't write it, but I sold it. And so I traveled all over the country, and it was a good job, high paying job, good benefits, et cetera, et cetera. And what I didn't really understand was a job like that is not that hard, not that easy to find. And my thought was, I'm making good money. I'm a big shot. I'm in high. I'm good at what I do. I'll just go do it for somebody else. Well, that didn't work out for me. Got tired of the industry, went to real estate, which is a whole other tough industry by itself. But I didn't realize when I left baseball that that was my identity. I went straight from being a ball player. I floundered for a couple of years, but once I got my footing up under me and then started having some success, worldly success from just a career standard, my identity became tied up in that.
Yeah.
And at one point I was in my mid-40s, early 40s, that really started kind of late, about 40s, I guess. It really kind of started falling apart because the economy changed. Had a real estate crash back in 08 and 09. And my life started changing slow. As I say, it's like God started taking everything on the table that was between me and him and slowly taking it off the table until
Yeah.
there was nothing there, which I didn't realize that at the time. I just knew life was tough and I was scared. But I didn't realize until it happened that, okay, you have no identity. And so what I'm really was trying to do during this time was find something that set me on fire, like playing baseball did, because
Yeah.
I enjoyed playing ball. And it wasn't, I mean, I enjoyed the work. I enjoyed the working out. I enjoyed, of course, I also enjoyed playing, but I enjoyed all the stuff I did to allow myself to play, taking care of myself, being disciplined. The joy is not in the destination, it's in the journey. And I had a
Yes.
purpose. And
That's what
so,
I say. It's the joy of the journey,
yeah,
not the joy. It's not joy. It's not journey to joy. It's journey of joy. Gotta find that joy in every
joy of
single
the
day
journey.
of.
Yeah.
You're right. And I just, but I had direction, I had purpose, I had goals, I had all those things in baseball. And I was trying to recapture that from a worldly perspective as a grown man that's obviously getting older in the mirror. I mean, I'm starting to, the guy looking back at me is getting a lot older than the guy that I saw years ago. And that happens. And at the same time, my mother-in-law was sick with cancer. My father was sick with cancer. And both of them had very bad diagnoses. And I'm kind of looking at myself going, okay, what are you doing with your life?
Yeah.
I really started for once, really asking myself, it kind of became obvious to me when you're younger, you think you got all this time.
Yeah.
Yes.
20 years old, 50 is 100 miles away, man.
Yes.
And 60 is just, you can't even fathom being 60 something years old. And then you look up, and for me, it was, when my dad got sick, that just a combination of a whole lot of things. It's there's a lot of stuff happening in my life I couldn't control. I really had no direction or purpose. Didn't have any lifestyle issues. I mean, it wasn't like I wasn't coming home at night or drinking or gambling, none of that stuff. Just empty.
Right.
And I really questioning, what are you doing with your life that matters? And I really couldn't put my finger on anything. Okay, well, you're a husband, you're a dad, okay. Well, those are those are my obligations. That's you know what are you doing that stuff matters, but what are you doing um from a faith perspective, from
Yeah.
from a perspective, and I've known who God was my whole life, but it wasn't until He became a really high rung on my ladder, and I got through into a personal relationship with Christ instead of just this distant God, that He really started working in my life, and I found the purpose I've been looking for there, and that's what kind of fuels all the stuff that I do now.
That's
That's so
awesome, man.
good.
That's
That's
awesome.
that's it.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah.
answer. And there are so many people struggling with that right now, and they just don't understand why they feel empty and why nothing's making them really happy, and they're just searching and searching and searching to do all these things when it's just that relationship with Jesus that can change
And
everything.
relationship is the key. That's the key word of relationship. I mean, like I told Danny, I was raised I had great parents. I was raised in a Christian home. I was raised Baptist, Rock Creek Baptist Church, and we did what I call 3 weeks. Twice on Sunday, once on Wednesday. Church doors are open, lights are on. We're gonna be there,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't change it for anything. I really had a good time growing up in church, and it really influenced my life. But once I got off, went to college, I just I went to church when I was home. But other than that, I just really had no interest in church or religion, and I just guy playing ball going to college.
Yeah.
And that meandering didn't last for for a long time. Once I got to pro ball, I got my Bible back out, and I mean I'll still have I say sometimes a part-time hoodlum, but there was that pull that's about the best word I can find. Part-time hoodlum, wasn't full-time, just
Part-time,
part-time.
right? Just part-time.
Part-time, but there was still that pull that was like, okay, you should go to. We'd have chapel sometimes on Sundays in the clubhouse. I usually went. Um, I'd pull my Bible out occasionally and read it. But as I progressed, from the 20 drafted at 21 years old to final year I played at 27 or 28, I can't remember. But by the last couple of years I played, I was in my Bible quite often. I was kind of, I knew what I was supposed to be in life, what I was supposed to do.
Yeah.
Even if it didn't have great importance for me, I knew it was important. And at some point I had to get myself straightened out.
And to get it straight. So
Yeah.
is this where like your love for writing now has come
Well,
along? Was it cultivated like during that time? Because I know you're an
mm,
incredible writer, and I know you have a powerful story how your morning routine and you get up, you're disciplined, you're committed, and how you found that. But you've cultivated this exceptional gift for writing, and the Lord speaks to you, gives you a word, and you share it, and it's touching a lot of people's hearts and lives right now.
I appreciate that. I hope it is. I mean, that's my hope. I feel led to share it, but that didn't show up, Michelle, till I was in. I mean, I'm 55 as of last December. I'd stop and think the years have run together here lately. But it was well, so much has happened in the last 10 years just from a faith based perspective. But that when around 44, 45, somewhere in there, when I really started giving God access to my life, and I had reached a point in my life where I knew there was nothing the world had to offer that was going to fix my problems or fulfill what I was trying to add to my life. All that fire I used to feel, that happiness and joy I felt, chasing the baseball dream.
Yep.
And baseball is just a vehicle. That's all it was. The reality was I had purpose. I had something to get me out of bed in the morning. I had goals, and those are what fueled me and fulfilled me and kept me going. And I knew that there was nothing. It wasn't going to be a new hobby, a new truck, a different career, some kind of advancement. Nothing was going to work. And so I knew that the only thing that was going to fix me was adding God to my life. 'Cause I'd had a little bit of everything else. I'd had a little bit of small time. I mean, I wasn't famous, but I mean, people knew who Shane Hale from Lucedale was. I mean, people around George County knew who Shane Hale from Lucedale was.
Right.
People in Mobile knew who Shane Hale was from playing ball there. So I wasn't famous by any stretch. So don't misinterpret what I'm saying. But people knew who I was.
Right.
So I had that going for me. I leave baseball and had some financial success. Did pretty well there. weren't rich, but I could pay my bills without looking. I could take a vacation if I wanted to. I didn't check my balance when I went to the grocery store to buy food. Um, so it had fame. I had some money. I had some freedom, and it wasn't like I hadn't experienced those things. Like, okay, well, if I could just get that, then I'll be okay. No, I've had all that stuff,
Yeah.
and it didn't work. So what's left? And when I started, really getting into my Bible and reading, we were going through a pretty decent bad financial time at the time. Dad's dying of cancer. It was not a fun time, and I wouldn't choose it, and I wouldn't want to do it again. But the result where it led me to, I wouldn't trade for anything in the world because it all came together. But that's when the writing started, and God just started putting stuff on my heart, and I'd go to church and take notes. I go to church, and I would listen to the sermon. And I'd come home, and my wife would be like, "Well, how was church?" It was great. What did they talk about? God. And she's like, and I'm like, can't remember. But I'd be in church. I'd be listening to the sermon. And of course, when you're on the skids in life, I mean, everything's applicable to you, right? Like, oh, that sermon was written just for me. Yeah, you and everybody else in church is hurting because y'all all hurting for the same reason. Because you tied your trailer to the wrong truck. But I started like, okay, I'm very ADD. I mean, I can read something and I can often remember that, but I can like watch a video on a tutorial or something.
Yeah.
Does not stick. I can go to church and listen to what somebody's saying, does not stick.
Yeah.
So I started taking notes. I started taking notes in church, and by simply writing these words that I heard down that spoke to me, it began to stick in my head.
Yeah.
And then I got to take these notes, and I'd go home and get my notes out, and then I would rewrite them and expand on them. And I kind of write things about my life that were going on, and just stories started kind of coming out of it. And these are just notes to me. This wasn't anything I shared with anybody. And then one day, I can't remember a day. Wasn't like God spoke. It was like, Shane, share this. What day that? But I just felt led to share, and I had a pretty good Facebook following at the time because I'd share funny stuff. I had a big sense of humor. I mean, I'd share anything that's interesting. I'd throw it out there. And I had this thing called Tip of the Day. Anything that could be funny or worth sharing, I had a tip of the day, and I'd just write it out. And I think the first one I ever did was, if you want your tip of the day, if you want your whole house to smell like coffee, spill a 2-pound canister of Folgers on the kitchen floor. I'd put the top off and went everywhere. So I kind of had a following there. So I just shared one day one of the stories I'd written on Facebook. Very scared to do it, and shared it, and it took off. I mean, people responded to it. That's pretty cool. I'll do that again. So I just started sharing stories, and you can look back over the 10 years I've written, and I can see the evolution of, I've tried different things, and what I've got now, I'll write a title on a note card. You list anywhere from 2 to 4 words, and then I'll write a story about that, and I'll just take a picture of it with my phone, put it out there. I tap the stories out on my phone and share them.
I love that. That attracted me quite a while ago. Like, I started following that because it was just the image of your handwritten note and word on an index card.
Yeah.
And it was so authentic and real. And then the words just flowed. And it was almost like you said, like, it's what I needed every single day, just because you're bold enough to share.
And I just share what's happening in my life. I'm not making this stuff up. I mean,
Exactly.
it's like I told Danny was talking about it. We're going to talk about these things on the show. If you want to, I'm like, we can do the podcast right now. I know the story.
Hey man, let's talk about something else real quick. So we talked about, you playing Major League Baseball and everything. You got through with that. So I understand, man, you got into the acting business a little bit, man. Tell us how you got into it. We ain't got to talk long about it. We got a lot more to talk about. And tell us, man, about that role that you played in Major League too, man. I think that is so cool.
It was just pure luck. It's all just to this day, I still think it's kind of, I chuckle when I think about it. But they shot it in Baltimore at Camden Yards. If you watch Major League 2, all the home games are at Camden Yards in Baltimore, and all the away games or across town at the old War Memorial Stadium, which is gone. Well, when I first started playing the Orioles in 1990, that was their home park. Camden Yards didn't show up until I think 91, 92, somewhere in there, maybe 91. So they were trying to find baseball players to be extras in the movie to fill baseball uniforms that looked and moved like baseball players. So where's the best place to look? Call the Orioles. Say, hey, who's going to be in town after the season? Because the season ends like first week of September. They started shooting in the middle of the second week of September. Well, the guy I rode to the park with every day was from Sarasota. I'd done spring training. I spent that summer in Sarasota at the spring training facility because my elbow had reconstructed the year before, so I was on rehab the whole entire summer. And get in the car one day and we're driving the park. I said, hey man, I'm gonna be in a movie. This guy's a big jokester, and I got a huge sense of humor too. What are you talking about? It's like 6:30 in the morning. I mean, it's just too early to even talk to me. And he said, no, they're shooting that movie. Remember that movie Major League? I said, yeah. He said, well, they're shooting a second one in Baltimore. They need extras. I'm gonna be in the movie. I couldn't, just made no. I was like, whatever. He goes, dude, I'm serious. Well, turns out he was. So I called. I got my agent to call his agent, and Morgan Creek Productions said, well, send us some pictures. Well, this is like 2 days before the season's over in Sarasota. Been there all summer long. Been there since February, and this is now we're like the first week of September. Well, I sent the pictures up a couple weeks before. Never heard a word about it. Several guys on the team were getting accepted to be, that we're going to be in that area in the off season. I didn't give much thought. I just didn't get picked, right? And so I drive home to Lucedale, get home like 4:30 in the morning. I always traveled at night. And like at 7:30, mom walks in. I'd say mom in months. And she don't want to wake me up. She goes, hey, glad you're home, but you got a phone call. I'm like, who in the world's calling me? It's like Morgan Creek. Who is Morgan Creek? I didn't even told mom about the movie. And so I get up, get the phone. They basically accepted me to be in this, want me to be in the movie. And I was like, well, great. And so when can you be here? I said, well, I just got home 3 hours ago. I've been gone since February. I said, how late can I come up? She said, well, can you be here in 72 hours? I'm like, yeah. So I stayed home 2 days, got on an airplane, flew to Baltimore, and spent 2.5 months on the set at Major League 2.
Wow.
And it was a blast. It was a great time. I've always loved movie making. I'm not a huge movie buff. At the time, I was a big Charlie Sheen fan. I always have been, even though he got off in the weeds a little bit. He was, I was a big fan of him. He was huge back then.
Yeah.
But they had a great lineup. I mean, Tom Berenger, Charlie Sheen.
Man, I've watched that movie. I got to go back and watch it again now since we're doing this podcast with this man. So tell us, what was your role in the movie? What did you actually do?
I was on the Indians team. I was number 17 on the Indians team. Last name was O'Connor.
Yeah.
And easy to find me because I'm the kid on the Indians team that never wears a hat.
Okay.
It turned out I didn't want to wear a hat because I'm just not a hat wearing person. I just don't like them. I'll wear them occasionally, but I'm just not a hat guy. My dad wasn't a hat guy. And I also had a mullet back then. I kept the top pretty shaved off. And
hey, we're gonna watch that movie. We're going to get it. I want to watch it tonight.
Okay, number 17 on the Indians.
No hat, mullet from Lucedale, Mississippi, George County High School. Hey, you know, work at George County High School, man. Your name, you're just like a legend around there, man. You hear the guys talking about you, and it's funny how everything revolves, man.
That's so cool. Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. It was I didn't have any speaking lines, but I mean I was there for 2.5 months, and I'd be in they had a thing called craft services where all the food and stuff was kept. We ate real well. And it worked out really great because all I did was go to the set. We'd go out and hang out sometimes, me and the guys would, but for the most part, I'd get off, I'd go to the gym, and I had all the food I could really eat, and I gained like 20-something pounds.
Yeah.
And I just lifted, ate, and came home strong as an ox. And but we've been sitting in the morning time, and you sit there having a cup of coffee, and Charlie Sheen comes walking in and goes, hey Shane, hey Charlie. Just like you're talking to him.
It was fun. I was going to ask, did you get to have any interaction with him? Because I've been an extra on a couple of movies, and sometimes we get to see the lead actors and actresses, and sometimes we wouldn't. So that's really cool.
Yeah, we weren't removed. He wasn't on the set all the time, and he was just there for his shots, and he had his trailer, and he had a double to set shots up and all whatnot. But there were plenty of times we'd find ourselves just sitting on the bench. You had the extras in the stands, and they were kind of removed from us.
Yeah.
And then you had the ball players. We hung out. We had access to the ball field and to the home Orioles home clubhouse. So we both had our own lockers and whatnot. We show up for work every day with our uniform in a locker, and we'd go home, take it off, put it up, and go home, do it the next day. But they will be in there with us quite a bit. They just come because they were enjoying hanging out with ball players. They thought we were cool. We thought they were cool.
Yeah.
What an
Yeah.
awesome experience.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
That is
That's
so
good.
It was fun. It
cool.
was fun for everybody. Yeah, we were on first name basis with those guys the time we left, and we'd go out and have a drink with them every now and then. And but there was there was, but it was still cool. But even after a while, it was it's kind of like it's just Charlie, it's just Tom, it's just
Yes.
they're just people like
Yes.
everybody.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So let's hit on something that you're one of your passions about. You want to talk to
'cause
me
you
about that?
talk to it a little bit, but being a personal trainer, group fitness instructor, I love the fitness aspect. And I love what you said earlier that refinding your identity, you had to figure out because in baseball, you were disciplined and you had that was in your everyday life. So your choice after baseball, you had to get committed and disciplined. And now to watch you, Shane, you're taking ice baths and you go to Costco and you're buying your food and you meal prep and you cook and you make this a daily routine and a lifestyle, not only for you, but for your family. You're such an influence to so many people, but to your own boys, to your wife, your family. But you cook for the community. You use it as an you know um as a blessing to others,
yeah.
but you're teaching them the right way every day just to get up early, get up with your first alarm, be disciplined when you don't want to, take that walk, get out in nature, fresh air, take care of this body, mind, and spirit, and then go to work, work out, use weights, and eat, ice dunk, red light, all the things. And so that fires me up, but you've got an awesome routine going on to take care of yourself.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. I'll tell you, it's really I think that's one of the biggest dividends of my baseball career. That looking back now, because I was so skinny. I mean, I weighed 142 pounds when I graduated high school at 17 and a half years old. I was also young. I weighed in at South in fall of '86 at I think 152 or 154, can't remember. And 3 years later, I finally made it to like 180. So I was a very late bloomer. And when I signed with the Orioles, I weighed about 182, 183 pounds. I mean, I wasn't an imposing figure at all. I was 6'2", 180 something. I was lean. I was real lean.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a struggle to keep weight on. And so my second year of college, I started cooking. I know about my cooking. I want to say eating, cereal in the dorm room and making macaroni and cheese. But I got me a little hibachi grill, those little screw-on propane tanks.
Yeah.
And out in front of my dorm, man, I'd be out there cooking chicken breasts, and my roommate he'd do the veggies and whatnot. But that started it, and I knew early on I was never going to be able to put weight on or keep weight on just eating like everybody else did. It just wasn't going to work. So that was born out of a need just to be to be healthy and to stay strong. And once I got to pro ball is such a grind, man, because you're on the road so often. And I would just I learned to cook on the road. I took more food and cooking paraphernalia than I did clothes on the road. We're done with the ball. I mean, Howard Johnson was the official hotel of the Midwest League. I think I stayed in every hojo across the Midwest League my freshman year, or my rookie year.
Good old Howard Johnson.
Yeah.
Old hojo. But they get done with the ball game, and the guys would go eat fast food or whatever. And you'd find me over by the stairwell with an old hibachi grill, man, cooking up my chicken and doing some veggies in a pot of boiling water in the room. But it morphed from there. And I kept refining the process and trying to make it easier and whatnot. So then you fast forward to where I was about probably I got married, had kids, and kind of went on the same path everybody else did. Just I kind of quit working out. I did quit working out. I still kind of took care of myself diet wise, but it just slowly became less important. And I was probably 40. Yeah, somewhere around 44 or early 40s. And I was pushing 240 pounds.
Wow.
And I had a
Wow.
decision to make. Yeah, I know. I had a decision to make. I had to buy bigger clothes or I'd lose some weight. And I'd have money for new clothes. So it kind of made the decision for me. But I also felt horrible. I mean, I had all kind of joint pain. I got to bed in the morning time and it'd take me 10 steps, stand up straight. My shoulders ache, my knees ache. The cartilage in my chest, well, like I did this in the morning time, it would like crack like your knuckles do, like this. It just would.
Yeah.
And that's how inflamed my body was. I didn't know what inflammation was back then. And, I thought I was kind of on top of stuff, but I still was so uneducated about it. And so I started eating whole foods. And I'm not one to like ease into stuff. I just do it. And I went from eating whatever to literally not drinking alcohol, um, eating whole foods. And I think in probably 30 days, I think I had 32 days without eating anything but whole foods, water, and coffee. And I think I lost 25 pounds or so.
Man.
And I've wiggled up and from there, but it was a matter of buy bigger clothes or lose some weight. So that started me on the whole foods diet like 8-9 years ago. And I've gotten off in the weeds from time to time, obviously, but I found as time went by, the biggest culprit in life is refined grains, seed oils, and sugar. And those are in everything.
Yep.
So the way to avoid them is not eat processed foods.
Yes.
And
One of
I've
the
heard
things-
that a few times.
One of the things that he knows, I coach my ladies. I have a coaching program, and one of the things that I have to help them with is learning to count the chemicals instead of calories. If you'll
Yeah.
count the chemicals and you look at everything else other than what it's supposed to be, take it away. Take it away, start over, and
I'll tell you what happened to me about probably 6 months ago that made it even easier than it's ever been. I only count one thing these days. I count protein. That's all I count. I don't count calories. I've never counted calories. But I simply count protein. And if you can get 200 grams of protein in a day, you can surround that by whatever whole foods you want, and that's all you got to worry about.
Yes.
That's my take. But that's made it even
water.
easier.
and
Water, yeah, drink
getting
water.
hydrated.
But-
Getting hydrated will change your cellular being.
I did 75 hard last fall. You ever heard of 75 hard? Okay, well, I did 73. I quit 2 days before. But it was a Saturday and Bama football's on and my mom was here. I hadn't seen her in several weeks. My brother's here. And I had not worked out that morning. I had done my walk that morning. It's 2 45-minute workout today. Drink a gallon of water, eat whole foods, no alcohol. And I had done all that stuff. And then that morning I didn't I was tired. I was worn out from doing it. And it got to be the game started at 6, I think. Well, it got to be like 4:30. We're all outside at a little grilling spot, and the weather's nice, and mom's there, and I'm tired, and don't want to. I've been cooking and cleaning all day, and I'm nasty. I'm like, if I start my walk right now and go straight from there to the ice tank and go straight from there to my workout, I'm still going to miss kickoff by half an hour. I'm like, I'm done. There's no parade waiting for me. There's no medal. There's no media. Hey, good for Shane. You made it. Said, nobody's going to care. So I proved my point. I just quit. But the hardest part of 75 hard for me was drinking a gallon of water a day.
Wow.
If you just, man, I mean, I didn't realize how much water I wasn't drinking. I mean, it's kind of graphic, but I mean, you can usually kind of tell by your pee if it needs more water or not.
Yes.
If it's not clear, go drink.
Yeah.
Drinking a gallon of water was, I felt better across the board doing that program. It's not something I want to do every day of my life.
Yeah.
But that was.
Sounds like it really helped set up, some more really good disciplined habits too.
The biggest part of that was just go do it. Whatever's on your list to do it, just go do it. Yeah. I mean, if there were many days I come in, I learned if I get my walk in the morning time early, that workout was done. I've never been an early morning lift person. I hate it. But if you don't do that, there were several times I found myself at 8 o'clock at night. I still got to go walk 45 minutes. I still got to work out 45 minutes. And there were a few times I got my workout in like right before midnight, and I'm exhausted already.
Wow, man, that is beautiful discipline, man. It takes a special person to do that.
Yeah.
I won't say it was grueling.
You got to get locked in right then,
If
man.
we can just learn to incorporate the small portion of that every day, I mean, just get a good walk in, just focus on whole foods, drink your water.
Mhm.
You're setting yourself up for success at especially this age for where
Well,
we're
the
going. This
exercise
is
is your
our
mind
next
too.
half.
Yeah.
Now, I was amazed how fast when I started just walking, and I never been a walker before. I used to run. I quit. I got more aches and pains wrong with me. I got all kind of stuff wrong with me that I don't want to make worse. I don't aggravate it, but walking doesn't bother me. I can't run. I can run away from you if I need to. Um, you know, I can run away from something. I could run to something. But I'm not running as a habit. Just too many
Not
things.
every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I could walk. But I started walking, and I was amazed at how much better. And I don't have a lot of joint pain because my body's not inflamed. So I don't put stuff in it that inflames it. But I'm still 55, so I got some quirks in there. But I was amazed at how much better my hips and knees and feet felt just from walking 45 minutes a day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loosened up quickly. So that's not to mention just I got to I didn't listen to music, didn't listen to podcasts. I just walked. I just
Yeah.
walked.
Oh, it's so awesome, man.
Yeah. And it
out,
clears your
you know,
mind, it clears your
Yeah.
spirit, it clears your heart.
Yeah.
And
Sunlight,
Yeah.
walking, being outside,
Yeah.
just being active, man. Find something to do. Get off that couch. Get off that recliner,
Yeah.
man. Get in the game. Well,
Just
look
go
here,
for
Shane. We're about to run out of time. So in
Yeah.
football, you go in overtime. Baseball, you go extra innings. Man, this is extra innings for you, man. This is the most important hat that you ever wear. We are in
Yeah.
extra innings, and it's a man on second and third. You're down by 2. If you hit a home run, you win. Okay, we're in extra innings. I'm sure you're gonna hit a home run with this question right here. So, man, I want you to tell us what happened when you started seeking God.
yeah.
He started working. He started working. And what a pastor told me several years ago, and it made absolute perfect sense. He said, Shane, there's 4 ways you can find God in this world. Is you can find him through the Bible. Open his word up and read it. You find him through prayer. You find him through the church. Church be the people, not the building. The people, the believer, the body of believers. And you find God in your circumstances. And he drew a little bullseye, like 4 rings to it, and did a really good job explaining it. And he was spot on. And so when I started seeking God and giving him access, you hear me say it sometimes, give God access to your life. What does that mean? Just what I said. You give him access to your life. You say, okay, I'm going to go to church on Sunday morning for 2 hours, and I'm going to give you that 2 hours consistently every week. I want you to do something with it. He will. I mean, or if you give him 2 hours in the morning time. One of the biggest things that happened to me, I chose to do it, was 2017 New Year's Day was a Sunday morning, and ending 2016. I mean, I've been taking notes for a couple of years. I've been writing. God's working in my life. I'm progressing. My faith is getting stronger, but I'm still, not doing as part as I should sometimes. And I've been kind of getting lackadaisical and going to church. And so I just felt this strong push, God's voice. Well, hear it differently, I guess, but to be in church on New Year's Day. I've been in church all December. I've been watching football. I've been laying around. I've been eating. I've been drinking too much, probably. By drinking too much, I don't mean not drinking problem, but just it's holidays. Have a couple cold drinks, watch a little football. I mean,
Right.
sit around the fire. And so I'm just getting, I was enjoying my December. But it was that pressing on me was so strong to be there. I was like, okay, I'll be there. I'll be there. And by mentally saying I will be there, it didn't go away. I was like, he's there. So I show up New Year's Day, me and 17 other people in the whole church. This big church. Usually get about 200 people on Sunday morning. 17 people. I'm one of them. And so I'm sitting there on front, third, fourth row, got my notepad out. I'm just waiting for all these, this good, meat I'm fixing to get. Nothing. I hear nothing. I hear nothing. I hear nothing. Whole sermon, hear nothing. And the pastor closes his sermon with, stop trying to write your story and take your place in God's story. I was like, man, those are the words I needed to hear.
Wow.
And so I made a commitment right there. Like, I'm going to go to church. You get fired up about something. Like, I'm going to do so and so for so long. I'm going to go to church every Sunday for a whole year. I just left so fired up. Well, so I went next Sunday, went to church. Third Sunday, went to church. Fourth Sunday, like, man, a year is a long time. But I went, and I didn't miss. And I made the commitment. I didn't miss church for 86 Sundays. And I missed on the 87th Sundays where we're going to Disney World. We're driving all day. And I went back and didn't miss, I think, for 82 more Sundays. I missed church one time in 3 years. But
Wow.
God took that 2 hours I started giving him on Sunday morning, and he did so much in that 2 hours that there was absolutely no denying that he was honoring my commitment
Mm.
to seek him on Sunday morning.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't write all the stories he gave me to write. I couldn't summarize all the notes he gave me to write down. Just in those 2 hours. And
Wow.
I couldn't wait to go to church. I mean, by the time like 6 months in, I couldn't wait for Sunday to get here. I love Sundays. And I would go early and just be there. I would stay afterwards to summarize my notes and have coffee. I started doing a video. I just pull out my phone and start talking about my notes. Be like 10, 12-minute videos, just be talking. And I put it on Facebook, and 2,000 people watch it. I mean, they didn't all stay tuned for 10 minutes, but I mean, it was
Yeah.
amazing what he was doing in that, not just in me, but through me
Yes.
by giving him 2 hours a week on Sunday.
That's
So when I tell people give God access to your life, that's one example. Okay. In the morning times, like this morning, I got up this morning at 5:30. I went to bed last night at 10 o'clock, and I knew before I went to bed that I was going to get up before daylight and write a story on Saturday morning.
Yeah.
How'd you know that? God told me. But he didn't tell me, Shane, you're going to wake up tomorrow morning. I just knew we're writing. We're back in the season of writing. It ebbs and flows. But the last few days, man, it's been cranking them out. And I went to bed last night knowing I'm going to be up this morning. I spent 2 hours at my table this morning reading, researching, wrote a story, sat and listened. I mean, that's 2 hours a day right there. And look what he does with that. So
So good. That's
I
so
got
good.
off topic of your question, but the biggest thing changed to me was just giving God access to my life. And I tell people, just you can't give him your whole life, give him a little piece of it. Give him 15 minutes in the morning for a devotional, but carve those 15 minutes out and show up.
Yeah.
Because he'll show up. Whether you show up or not is a question, but if you don't show up, then you miss it. And it's just the more of your life you give God access to, and the more he works in, the more willing you are to give him more pieces of it. And then when you get off track, at least you can stop. Okay, what am I doing on the seeking part? Okay, well, I'm not. I'm gotten too washed in fear here. I'm too worried about my worldly circumstances. I'm too worried about this, too worried about that.
Yeah.
God has not been a priority for me, so my faith takes a hit.
Yeah.
And that's
so
the
good. And
yeah,
that's so
Yeah,
encouraging
yeah.
right there that
Yeah.
you just give God access.
One of
access.
my favorite verses talk about it says, I love those that loves me, and those who seek me diligently will find me. So man, when you seek God with your whole heart like you do,
Wholeheartedly,
you'll
that's
be
the word.
blessed, and it just overflows, and just a genuine love you have for everybody else, and people are just like, man, what does that person have that I don't have? I can see it glowing all over you, Shane. When I
You know
first
what,
time
Danny?
I saw you in George County giving that FCA
Yeah,
motivational speak that day, that's so awesome, man. Well,
I
look,
appreciate that. Hey, real quick, we get this in. You just mentioned something that really is worth mentioning. You said, "What does that person have that I don't have?" And when I was in my early 40s, and I really started, seeking God and trying to fix my life, because I knew I had to add something to my life the world didn't have to offer. I sought out people from my past. Turner Ward's one of them. You probably know who Turner Ward is, and from Sarah Land's here.
yeah, I'm Turner, yeah, Wes, Wade, and all those guys.
I called Turner up, and Turner and I weren't friends. I knew him, he knew me, but I just called him up. I'm like, "Hey man, can I talk to you?" But he was one of several people I knew that for years on end had been a strong Christian person. I would look at people, I guess, and go, "How do they do that? I can do it for a week. I can do it for 2 or 3 weeks, but I'm going to drift back out to sea sooner or later. How do you stay there all this time?" And so I went and talked to Turner. I went and talked to several other people. But that is what you just mentioned is the consistency. I would see people that were in that position in life, and I was curious, how do you? I mean, I had an idea how to get there. I had no idea how to stay there,
Wow.
and that was what changed for me. Was when I went from just knowing who God was, having an actual relationship with Him through Christ, the anchor got dropped, and I'll circle around the harbor sometimes, but I don't go back out to sea.
Yep.
And that was what really seeing people like that, and the example they set just by living their life, helped me get where I'm at today.
That's so good.
Yeah.
But what
That
they
is-
have, I didn't have.
That's a direct answer in relation to who you
Mhm.
surround yourself with. Who do you allow to speak into your life? What are you watching? What are you listening to? And giving God access, yes, go surround yourself or have a
Yeah.
mentor, have accountability
Call
with
somebody,
God
man.
that's
Call
doing
somebody
this
up and
work.
ask them, how do you do that? How do you
Yeah.
do that? The answer is relationship. They had a relationship with a God that I knew, but knew nothing about. I did not know on a personal level, and they knew him on a personal level. And that's what changed your life. That's what changed my life.
That's
And now
awesome.
you're just being you're being real, you're being authentic, and that's all God asked us
Yeah,
to do. That's what He
absolutely.
created us.
I have to apologize a lot. I have to apologize, Lord. I'm sorry.
Hey, I do that every day. Yeah.
I didn't mean to say a
I'm gonna
word.
tell
Came
you
out of my
something.
mouth. Sorry.
Yeah. Look, I played out a little scenario, was man on second and third, but you know what? This man on first, you just hit a grand slam, brother, and won the
All
game
right.
in extra inning. So that's
I wasn't
awesome.
a great hitter, so that sounds good to me.
That's right, man.
It's so awesome.
Well, man, we appreciate you, Shane. We think the world of you, man. You got it going on, and we love how you give back to the community.
Yes.
You make people better, whoever's around you. That's what it's all about. And we cannot thank you enough for being on our show this morning. We
I appreciate
it,
y'all
man.
having me. And I applaud y'all for what you're doing, and I wish you the best of luck with it, and hope it touches lives and brings you some happiness and some joy. And that's one thing I found, that between happiness and joy, you didn't ask me the question on this, but what's the difference? The world can make you happy. Things in the world can make you happy. Only the things that God has to offer can give you joy.
Yes.
People and relationships, beautiful
Yes.
sunset. That's His creation brings us joy. Our creation might make us happy, but hope this thing brings y'all happiness and joy and touches lives and just takes off, man.
Thank you so
Absolutely.
much.
Thanks so much, my friend. You have a good day,
You're
man.
Thanks
All
for
Thank you.
being
right.
Talk to you
on
soon.
Inside the Red Zone.
Hey,
Special
there you
guest,
go.
Shane Hale.
Shane Hale. So it's 4th and 2. What you going to do? So
Right.
call Shane Hale.
I
Good
feel
deal,
like-
man. Appreciate you, man. Have a good one.
See you
Thank you.
later.